Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's a beautiful day, April 8th. Actually, we're supposed to have the eclipse in about 15 minutes. Today's an extra special day for B to Z podcast. We have our first guest on with us today. It's Michael Welsh from Working Dogs for Warriors.
Hey, how are you guys?
Michael, or Mike, that's what I've been calling, or sir. You've been, so for my military guys out there, this guy is the closest thing to an officer I've seen without going to officer school. He runs his organization just like a company commander would. And I've credited with him before, but I just so we're on the air and it's recorded. I'm saying it again for you.
I appreciate you, Zach.
Yeah. We want to know a little bit more about you. We want our audience to know a little bit more about you. What's some things you'd like to tell us about yourself and your organization?
So we started back in 2016 under the name of My Gunny Bear Cares. Kind of pulled that name from our first dog that I named Gunny. My grandfather was a Marine, we talk about his Gunny. But, when we first got that dog, we were looking at a training and we started training with a couple of the decoys over at Fontana PD and kind of branched from there. The reason why we got that dog was my wife worked for the police department. She was a dispatcher for 10 years. And, going through those traumatic calls, I was starting to see some PTSD signs and stuff, so we wanted an outreach for that. So that's when we got our first dog, started working with them a bit. And then, maybe even 20 years ago now, Vietnam veteran, suffered from severe PTSD, night terrors, that whole array of stereotypical Vietnam veteran stuff, didn't really have any faith in the VA. They basically shipped him a box of pills every month in order to function. I'd literally see him wake up in the morning and have to take this now, take a pill in 2 hours, take a pill to go to sleep, take a pill to make sure he woke up. And that's not a way to live. So having friends go to the military and coming back and having those same ailments, the same, I can't sleep at night, walking around the guard, having those nightmares and night terrors and stuff, and the VA's answer for it being the exact same. Like, how is that possible? How is there no other way of dealing with mental health?
Right.
So we started looking more and more into animal therapy. Trying to see how we can basically make a difference in the lives of our veterans and our first responders, by being able to train these dogs for them. So I started volunteering more and more with the training aspect with the police department guys. But I'd put the bite suit on and run and hide and get bit. There's videos of me on Instagram being pulled down by 90-pound Malinois, flipped over and all that fun stuff. And I owe a lot of my training to a gentleman named Daryl DeSantos. He's with Centurion Canine, great mentor of mine back in the day. He is a retired law enforcement. He still runs a lot of the stuff out of Fontana and with agencies all over. This guy. I showed up one day, literally pulled up, walked in their gate, and they all looked at me. I was like, "Hey, Daryl, I was told to come out here and ask for you." He's looking at me like, "Who the hell are you?" And I told him, my wife works police department. We run similar circles and stuff, and I'm interested in training dogs. I told him what we were looking at doing, and he said, "All right, show up on Saturday, and you'll put the bite suit on, and you'll run." So sure enough, I showed up on that Saturday. I put the bite suit on, and I ran.
And what was that experience like? That first time you put on the bite suit and the dog's running at you.
It was awesome. And that's the thing. Like, people look at me like I'm crazy. It was fun taking bites from dogs. My arm being black and blue afterwards. Having cuts and bruises and all that fun stuff. But looking down at the dog from that level, it's totally different. Being on that side of the muzzle with them just bark, 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 showing teeth, jowls and everything, just slobber coming out of their mouth to bite, But having the control of those dogs, those handlers did, when they said out, the dog stopped.
Yeah.
Just one word, the dog about him.
I didn't realize. I know you got something. I didn't realize, Mike, you were such an adrenaline junkie. Because that's like when did that click? He's like, I liked it. I was all, okay, man.
That's different, right?
What you got?
When you're out there in the bite suit and stuff like that, I guess it's not an intense question, but if I'm not in a bite suit and I'm out there and there's a dog getting ready to bite me, what's the best thing I could do as just regular civilian to
don't move.
Don't move.
Don't move.
And what if he's just
don't move.
And what is that going to do?
Is this like a random dog off the street, or is this like...
Yeah, just like a stray dog comes up to me.
Okay.
He's 100% going to bite me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I have had those instances too, where it's a little like, we were at the park, so when we first started the organization, we would train out at a park in Fontana. Mm-hmm. Literally, there was times when lights would get shut off on us,
Yeah.
But there was many times where we would meet with clients and stuff, and obviously it's a big park, big dog park up there. But there's other dogs running around and stuff. And I remember this one day, I'm teaching a gal with a German Shepherd, and I'm looking at her like this, and her face goes white, and I turn around real quick, and there's a 100-pound German Shepherd running from clear across the park straight towards us, and so I all right, well, don't know what's going to happen, but I need to make sure that she's okay and the dog's okay. Right. So as the dog comes and he gets within, from me to you, and I popped the dog right underneath the chin, just picked it straight up, basically, and the dog immediately fell back, turned around and looked at me, and then just, stopped.
Yeah. Okay.
So in that situation,
I'm going for the throat.
With anything with the dogs, or an animal, you control the head, you control the animal.
Okay.
So in that situation, was it the right thing to do? I have no idea. But like Zach said, adrenaline junkie, and adrenaline perks up, and I'm like, oh shoot, I need to make sure that everyone's okay and no one's going to get bit. So that's what I chose to do, and it worked.
I was going through some of the paperwork that you had submitted, and it said that there was hormone training there for PTSD. Explain to me what that is. I thought that was interesting.
So over the years of working Dogs for Warriors, we've started focusing a lot on really making sure that these dogs are fine-tuned into their handlers, right? Mm-hmm. So that we started a program called our Care Team Canine program, as well as, seeing how these dogs could really impact the lives of a veteran by training the dog to do something for them. Obviously, with service dogs, people see them as guide dogs or CNI dogs, that type of thing, or medical alert dogs, right? Mm-hmm. But with PTSD, it's a little different. We're training these dogs to pick up high cortisol levels in the body. So we actually have a synthesized hormone of cortisol. So when you get stressed, that's why I wear an Apple Watch and check my heart rate and stuff. Mm-hmm. But when you get stressed, your body releases this hormone, and we could specifically train the dogs to pick up that odor and do something for us.
Whoa.
So what we're teaching them is when they smell that odor, they'll lay on their feet, jump up on our chest or something, start licking our face. Because at the beginning, we would train a lot on the outward signs of PTSD. Covering your face, shaking your legs, messing with your hands, picking at your face, those types of things, which the dogs are fantastic at picking up and being able to redirect you, where you'll see some dogs start nudging people and you'll see some dogs start moving underneath their hands. But with utilizing an odor for it, before we even start doing those outward displays, there were those outward tells, basically. These dogs are able to pick up, and you'll start to see them move around and start coming closer to you, or be hyper-focused on you to where they don't want to go away. They're constantly right on you. And believe me, I've had times where handlers, they come in all stressed out because of training, and they're like, oh, this damn dog's not listening to me, constantly push his dog off. I'm like, go take a lap. Mm-hmm. What do you mean? Go for a walk. You're stressed out. You're stressing your dog out. Your dog is trying to do what we taught your dog to do, is to recenter you. Is to get you to cool down.
How do you notice, how do you train yourself to notice when the dog is in an emotional state? Like, what is it the key signs that you're looking for from the dog?
There's a lot of tells, like we want to make sure that because the lifespan of these dogs, the working lifespan of these dogs is going to be anywhere from 8 to 12 years. Mm-hmm. Especially for a service dog, for what we're teaching them, we want to make sure that these dogs are able to work for their entire life, being with that veteran. Okay. So we want to make sure that the dogs are happy at it, for one. And that's probably the most important thing, is that the dogs are always happy. Mm-hmm. Old school ideologies behind training, the old yank and crank methods, those don't really work anymore, because we want to make sure that 10 years from now, that dog is still your buddy. You go outside, you go wherever with your dog, you go hiking with them, you go camping with them. These dogs, they're not just pets. They're literally changing lives by being able to change your life. By being able to alert to you when you're high strung or you're stressed out. Can
you give me a scenario and where say I'm a veteran and I'm dealing with a past trauma, how the dog would come to does the dog do a specific thing in that stressful moment? Like, so I'm enraged and I'm having a flashback due to something that I went through war. What is the dog's response in those moments?
Okay, so I have a first responder. She was a police sergeant. Mm-hmm. She volunteered with our organization. She didn't think she needed a service dog, right? But we had this little dog, a little yellow lab. He got injured with us, so I was like, crap, I need someone to help, So I asked her, I gave her a call. I'm like, hey, can you foster him for us? Just kind of see how he does with you and stuff. He needed stitches and stuff, so we needed to make sure he was in a sterile environment and stuff. So she was like, absolutely. So she took him home. That dog ended up becoming her dog.
Yeah.
But during that time of them bonding together, she would always tell me, like, she would have night terrors and stuff. Always replaying the same nightmare over and over and over every single night. Mm-hmm. And during the training, we tell them to keep the dogs in a kennel when they're sleeping and stuff until we can trust them. So one night she forgot to put him in the kennel, and he's sleeping there on the bed of her foot, or on the foot of her bed and stuff. And she goes to sleep, ends up having same night terror. But the dog picks up and alerted to her and literally woke her up out of that night terror before it got to the typical spot she usually wakes up at.
Whoa.
Yeah, he knew it. She was having a terror, and he was able to pick it up, and she literally said he's never slept in a kennel since. Mm-hmm. So she's had him now.
Okay, that's a great story.
2 years now,
That's a good one.
Yeah, there's so many more stories like that. With these dogs being able to, it's life changing. I get phone calls and text messages from the vets in our programs and first responders in our programs when they're about a year into the program, when it's finally clicked and like, hey, this dog, it's not just why am I coming and training every week? Yeah. It's
how long does it take for a dog to like go through the training to be considered a service dog to you guys?
So our program is a little different. We require 360 required training hours that goes into each dog. That could take anywhere from a year to a year and a half to complete. Just recently, we switched it up so we require phases. Zach was actually one of the first groups to get this new phase program because we wanted to make sure that people understood the commitment that they're having to give with these service dogs. The lifelong commitment. So I had them the first 3 months. They're coming out and volunteering at our kennels, learning how to properly walk and care for and maintain dogs, properly bathe them, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's not easy at our kennels. I think at that time when Zach was volunteering with us, we probably had 20 dogs on average there. And it gets messy.
Yeah.
To say the least. But it shows dedication. It shows them that. Well, it shows me that they're ready to make that commitment for that service dog. Mm-hmm. So after that volunteer phase, that's when they start training. Every 3 months there's a test they have to pass. Every 3 to 4 months there's a test they have to pass. They have to complete training records after every single training. Because we want to make sure they're working with their dogs and stuff. But once they hit 360 hours, and they pass the tests and they show me that their dogs are performing and able to provide a task or several tasks for them, then they're a service dog.
Okay. Nice. Nice.
It has been exciting for me as with Koa, my service dog, to watch him go through all the steps, and he's really been flourishing. He loves training. He looks forward to the actual training classes, and for myself, I approach the organization work-wise very serious, but I didn't start opening up till more recently.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was another, and that's something everyone's going to have to figure out on their own, that time where they're going to open up. And everything has been better since then. And I feel that goes along with life too.
Yeah.
Once you start opening up and being your true self with people, if people wanna fuck with you, people wanna mess with you, that's the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I mean, I just want to ask a few general questions, if you don't mind. Can any dog be a service dog? Is there a certain type of dog or requirement? So if I know we have listeners and they're like, well, I wonder if I could do this with my dog.
So we have the program that our main program, is dedicated to veterans and first responders. Like I said, there's 360 required training hours that each of them go through. They're required to come out to a fellowship group, like a peer support group in the beginning, just because we really want to focus on the mental health and well-being of that veteran and first responder.
So you definitely have a target that you're going for. That's good.
But we do have, as a nonprofit, we need to keep the lights on, So we have public programs that help fund that, So we train public service dogs, we train pet dogs and all that stuff. So we have classes throughout the week and all that.
Okay, that's good. And you guys are located where?
So our training facility is currently under construction in the city of Rancho.
I've been following on Instagram. I see you guys doing construction.
Yep. So we had a facility in Rialto for the last about 4 years. We were operating out of there. Prior to that, we were operating out of a couple parks out of Fontana. So we've seen the growth in the organization. So we knew it was time to find another location and something a little bigger.
Congrats. Yeah. Congratulations. That's a big deal.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were excited for it. It's something that we've been looking for the last few months. Big warehouse, with no heating or air conditioning inside. So I knew when we were looking out for a new place, that's something we had to have because in the summers, it gets hot.
Okay. I know you have an event coming up that we're supposed to go do some broadcasting. Tell us that event you have coming up.
So on May 11th, we are hosting our first annual Walk for Suicide Prevention.
Okay.
It's a walk in the city of Fontana up at the Fontana Park. We've been wanting to set something up like this for a while now. But, we're just trying to get people out who just want to help support our mission. We're going to have a bunch of vendors out there who have the same missions as us, just to help combat suicide. It's unfortunate, but the number of 22 a day has been surpassed. I think they're saying it's closer to like 30 or 40, which is unfathomable. It's ridiculous that it's at that high of a rate of veteran suicides. And in our veteran or in our first responder community, police officers and firefighters, the number of suicides have far surpassed the number of on-duty deaths. So we wanted to bring everybody together to just help show your support in this fight against PTSD-related suicide.
Good. Wow, that sounds like it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
How many dogs do you personally have?
I personally have 3 dogs.
3 dogs?
Yeah. I say I have like 17 because like all the dogs on my kennel.
Yeah. What's your favorite breed as well?
Labs and Shepherds.
Labs and Shepherds.
Okay. Yeah. Either Shepherds, Dutch Shepherds, Malinois, absolutely love them. They're working dogs. Like I said, I was on the biting end of those for a while.
Yeah.
But
my brother has a Malinois, and he does training. I think it's called Schutzen.
Schutzen, yeah.
Yeah, and these dogs, they listen.
Oh, yeah.
They listen a lot better than mine. Mine sit. They do little things. They go to their crate. when they need to or whatnot.
It's always funny because I get people who send me those shits and videos and like, oh my god, I want my dog to do this. And I'm like, okay, you understand that dog is always on the level, right? Always on the level. Like, not just in the ring, but, you wake up for work, that dog is on 11, the dog is like, let's go!
Yeah.
Like, there's no shut-off switch for that.
They're beautiful dogs, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you prefer the larger breeds or the smaller breeds within those dogs?
Like the medium builds. I think my Dutch, he's the Dutch male mix, Loki. He was probably maximum weight was about 70 pounds. Yeah. So, and then I have a shepherd who's about the same, a little bit bigger, and then I have a black.
Give me the worst day you've had at work, and then give me the best day you've had at work. I want to know like a horror story within your world.
So we obviously focus a lot on, we focus on our veterans and first responders. We do a lot of public classes. So oftentimes those worlds intertwine. We get some of the veterans who come out who like to banter back and forth with each other, and then they don't realize they're in a public class, and I get some public people looking over at me like, what the heck did that person just say? And I'm sure, Zach, you understand, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those comments they make, and, it's, oh crap, I'm still running the business here, I need people to come out and pay and have fun at training. But it's always fun, I don't think there's ever been like a crap moment. To an extreme. Obviously, there's very stressful and emotional days. Dealing with veterans and first responders contemplating suicide. There have been times where I've been called out 2-3 o'clock in the morning to go to somebody's house to go find a spouse. Where their husband didn't get home from work. And
is it just a segue? I got questions going through my head, and I'm just gonna keep rifling them off. You guys know how I am, and I'm here too. You feel me? What are some do's and do nots? Like, I've always heard you don't touch a service dog. Do you or do you not? If it's not my dog and somebody's out there and they have a service dog, should I go up to this dog or do I leave it alone?
Never.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely don't go up to him because you never know what that service dog was trained to do. There's a lot of medical alert dogs that are really dialed into their handlers to where, you can't miss a beat with them, whether it's for a high heart. We have a gentleman in our program where multiple times during training, his dog has jumped up on him to alert him to, hey, you need to sit down. It's getting too fast, yeah. So we don't want to distract those dogs, We do train our dogs a little different, where we want our dogs to be very sociable because of the people that we deal with have a lot of seclusion anyways, where they don't want to really be out and about and really be in the crowds and all that stuff. So guess what we do? We train in crowds. So we get them to take their dogs to the malls and do all that stuff in a group setting, so it's a comfortable environment for them. It's not like I'm telling them, okay, now today, Zach, you got to go take Cole to the mall and tell me how it goes. We go as a group. We go with 15 other dogs sometimes. So really lost my train of thought.
No, I was like, so.
Oh, but touching service dogs, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
do's and do nots.
So, like with Zach, for instance, right? Walking through the mall and stuff, I'm sure you get people who walk up to you and go all the time.
All the time.
But we train our dogs to be very personal, very sociable. We want them to have a command to go say hi. So if someone does walk up to him, because it happens anyways, Ko is a nice looking dog. Especially like some of the doodle breeds, who some kids are going to run up to him, so we can't have those dogs be jumpy or anything like that.
Right.
So we typically teach our dogs some sort of go say hi command, where someone asks, hey, can I pet your dog? So we put them in the sit position, have them open up their hand, like showing their palm face up, and then say go say hi, and the dog goes out and like sniffs them and like licks their hand and stuff. So we train our dogs somewhat different in that sense. You know, I want the veterans to go out. You know, I don't want them to be like, no, don't.
No, absolutely. And you are, I've known you for over a year now. You're a very modest man. You have good humility, you're very humble. But tell us some of the certifications or classes that you yourself have completed throughout the year to bring you to the level that you're at.
So I am certified with explosives, firearms, narcotics, and bedbug detection.
That's the one specifically I wanted to put. Yeah, I know he's got a lot more, but I like that one.
That was a fun one.
Yeah.
I spent a month in Vegas training with a gentleman named Cameron Ford, with Ford Canine. Fantastic guy. You know, but I was literally out there. We were training. I think there were 60 different dog teams over that course of that month, and working with all different types of explosives and firearms and gunpowder, and then bedbugs. You know, so then I'm also trained in or certified in tracking and trailing. So we have trained a couple of search and rescue dogs. Huffman Canine, Jensen Huffman from Oregon actually came down to teach me that. Another fantastic guy. And I want to make sure I give these guys their credit. You know, if they ever listen to this podcast, you know, very humble gentlemen. But you know, being able to teach a dog to search for somebody who's lost, you know, that's and then end up finding the person like that's worth everything right there. So like an AKC evaluator, so we do all the AKC stuff, the American Kennel stuff, and good citizens tests and all that. So.
How many years total do you have within the what is it, the canine business? The canine business.
Yep. I think about 10 years. A little over 10 years of hands-on with dogs.
Mm-hmm. That's great, man. Yeah. Do your kids enjoy watching you work with the dogs?
Absolutely. My daughter, she literally brought home a little paper that she did at school the other day, and it says, "My dad's a dog trainer, and I want to be a dog trainer too."
Oh, that's cool, man.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the website. You guys are offering financing and great prices. You guys check him out. Working Dogs for Warriors .com.
Yep.
There you go. This guy is doing really good work out there. He's highly decorated, and he's got a good program going on. You know, when I think of dogs and working dogs and stuff like that, usually I think of search and rescue and stuff like that. You said bed bugs. Like, how do you train a dog to sniff out bed bugs?
So they utilize a actual like live bed bug.
Mm-hmm.
There's a place you can buy them. But the dogs are able to pick up one single bed bug. You know, when we were out there in a training situation, like there was a camper. Literally, we sent a German Shorthair Pointer to jump in and find a bed bug, and in like 15 seconds he found that bug.
Okay.
And literally would sit there and like stare at it. As far as that, you know, these dogs, especially for like detection work, the detection world is insane. You know, these dogs are incredible. You know, people always say, "Oh, a dog's nose is like 10 times better than a human nose." No, it's like 100 million times better than a human nose. And then there's a dog that passes that number. You know, the breeding of these working dogs is incredible. You know, so they always break it down to like the dog doesn't smell a specific odor. You know, they smell broken down compounds of that odor. You know, so they're able to teach a dog to find. They're not looking for the gun. They're looking for, you know, the gunpowder residue, the smokeless powder. You know, the chemical makeup of that. You know, so like with cortisol, for instance, right? Where I've done it. I put a little drop of the cortisol in the back of my hand. Walked up to the dog and kind of waved it in front of him, and the dog like looked at me and like backed up a little bit. You know, and that's their natural instinct to cortisol. You know, and then when we teach them what to do with it, you know, that's when the dog smells and they're able to come up to us and start redirecting their handler and stuff. You know, but seeing how incredible a dog's nose is amazing.
I worked on a TV show where they had a dog that was trained for acting and stuff like that. It was called Lost. And like that dog, it did what it was supposed to do.
Oh, yeah.
It did what it was supposed to do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
those dogs.
I'm just throwing tangents, going off on a tangent there. I'm like, yeah, what dog stuff to, That's cool, man. Is there a specific thing that people should be doing with their dog, non-service related? You know what I mean? What's one of your Achilles heels when you see people handling their dog? What's one thing that you can give everybody out there that's like...
Yeah, we want to give a lot away for free, but I like.
Just,
What's one tip?
Like one tip that you can
Proper
give.
leash control. That's my big thing. You'll get people walking at the park or whatever, their dog's dragging them down the street. And then those are the same people like, my dog doesn't bite. They're screaming over to you as they're at the end of the 30-foot leash or retractable leash or whatever it is.
Yeah.
As their dog's running at full speed towards you.
Yeah.
And it's like, our dogs are sociable, but don't get your dog in my dog's face.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to go up in your face and
My kids are bad with that.
That's the biggest thing. Teach kids, either stay clear of them or ask the handler type of thing. But even like if she was like, well, we went to Knott's Berry Farm, and we took, I think it was like 10 of our service dogs out there, and you see the difference between our service dogs and some others out there.
Yeah.
Where the other ones are not paying attention to their handlers or any little noise that goes by, even like the roller coasters that go over. I have videos of all of our dogs sitting right outside of Ghost Rider, just laying there as the roller coaster's going by and all that noise. And then there's other dogs that walk by and who are just scared of it, So you never know how these dogs are going to react. So we want to make sure that when you're out and about, don't run up to dogs, especially with kids.
What's your opinion on the e-collar?
I love them. I love e-collars. They're a fantastic training tool. When used properly, it's great. It's a mile-long leash, mile-long invisible leash. But when used incorrectly, it's a horrible training device. So you really want to make sure that you know what you're doing with it. You're not just putting it on and trying to zap your dog. Like it's the old school way of thinking with it. Nowadays the technology in these e-collars are similar. It's the same technology as a tin zero. Where it's providing the stim to the dog. And it's a communication device. I know hunters who use them to get their dogs to go out, to push out, to go flush birds. And they hit a button, and now the dog will lock up. Or the dog will flush something.
My bro's got a pointer poodle.
Poodle pointer.
And it's a hunting dog. He just sent it off to be trained and stuff like that. Do you work with breeds as well? Like, can a breeder contact you and say, hey, I would like for you to train my dogs to be service ready?
Yeah, so we have had a few dogs donated to us from breeders and stuff over the years and stuff. So,
nice.
We definitely do that.
You hear that, guys? Get your dogs right.
Exactly.
Shoot, I want my dog to come ready. I can eliminate all that stuff before I get... Shoot.
Yeah, well, we do have boarding train programs, so like I mentioned, we're a nonprofit. So everything that people spend to put towards their public training classes go right into providing these dogs for our veterans and first responders. So even with our board and train programs, I'm technically a volunteer with this organization. I don't get paid a penny.
Right.
But we want to make sure that, that if a dog was to come to us for training, that dog's going to be trained at the highest standard. What I hold all of my dogs to. So like with our board and train programs, we teach anywhere from 2 to 5 weeks, where the dog will stay with us, from basic foundation stuff to more advanced like scent detection stuff.
Has there ever been a dog that you weren't able to train?
Not necessarily. A lot of times with puppies, it's important that we kind of let them grow and stuff to become mature. So, sometimes we need to hang on to them for a little bit longer, but, it's always fun. People love puppies anyways, so.
And an old dog can learn new tricks.
Absolutely. Okay, so, quick story. It's going to end up being like an hour long, I'm sorry.
That's why we're here, man. We're here for this, exactly.
So when we first started, we had a veteran, the family member of a veteran reach out to us. It was the sister-in-law. So her sister, his wife, just passed away. It was like November when they reached out to us. So I think he was kind of a little hesitant to come out, so it probably took him a few months. But he came out to us with an 8-year-old Maltese poodle something mix. Smaller dog. He was like, "This is my wife's dog." I'm like, "All right, let's see what we can do with it." But he was living by himself. His sister-in-law would tell us like he would stay in the house for days and days and days. Wouldn't do anything. Didn't really want to go outside. He had a doggy door, so he'd open up the doggy door and kick the dog out. Let him go sit down and lay down outside. So when we finally started working with him, he was a little more. He was a little more eager to work with him, because he was like, "This is the last thing I have in my life." So I'm like, "All right, let's make this work for you." So we trained the dog to be able to learn on the PTSD stuff, But so Max would jump on his bed and sit there and bark at him until he would get up and walk outside. And that's what the sister-in-law lived next door. So thankfully she was only across the street. But she was like, I'd look over and he's not outside and he'd be inside for days, So she was like, I just want to see him go outside. So what did we do? We made sure the dog took him outside. So he would initially tell the dog to go outside, and the dog would go outside laying by himself. But now, like, when he would say Max go outside, Max would turn around and sit there and bark at him and wait until he got up out of bed, walked outside and sat down in his chair. It's like, hey, as long as we got him outside, we did it.
Right.
Now I heard that he's traveling the country in a trailer, like a travel trailer, and living the world with his dog.
Wow.
So that's cool. Like I said, that was an 8-year-old dog.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
I'd like to start wrapping stuff up with our roundup. We're going to start something new with you.
Okay.
Being our first guest, we'd like you to lead that roundup.
Okay.
Was there a quote or something significant you'd like to put out to our listeners today?
So you've been with us for about a year.
Yes.
Right? And you know that we're a family and Christian-based organization.
Yes, sir.
That's something that we really wanted to make sure that we stuck to our roots. In opening this organization, literally the month that we filed for our paperwork, my brother-in-law passed away. My wife's brother ended up passing. So we took a break, and then picked it up a few months later, knowing that this is where God has led us. Isaiah 58:11 says, "Where God leads, God provides." So that's something that we've kind of geared our whole organization to. There's been many times where I'm like, why are we going down this road? Why are we doing something? And then something happens, I'm like, that's why. We go to events sometimes and it's like, all right, nothing's really coming out of it. No one's coming up. And then the next day I get a phone call from a veteran who's like, hey, I met you. You really changed my life. I really want to get involved. I'm like, I had like a 5-minute conversation with this guy, thinking it was nothing. Mm-hmm. And he's been in our program for like 3 years now, or 4 years now, actually. So, that's something what, at any time we get together, we always open with prayer. We really want to make sure that we stay true to our roots. This organization has changed many lives. It's changed our life. My wife and I, being able to just make these connections, being able to help veterans and first responders, and so many more people. Like we have a lot of volunteers who've told us the same thing. Just being a part of something, it's changed their life for the better. Mm-hmm. A couple of the other things that we do throughout the year, we have like paint nights or Mario Kart tournaments. Just these little like events that are typically on big drinking holidays, like Cinco de Mayo, St. Patrick's Day type of thing. But we don't allow alcohol at our facility. So we would have these events on those specific days, and guys and gals would come out and have a fun evening, mm-hmm. just with food and all that stuff. And I had a first responder who was a police officer come out. He was real hesitant to come out at first. He didn't like to be in crowds and stuff. And then a couple days later, when I talked to him, he was like, "That was the first Cinco de Mayo I spent sober." Being able to go somewhere with my wife and grandson, I think it was, and enjoy an evening like that. In a group, large group. Like, it was at our facility, so we probably had over 100 people there. But it was one of those things where, we understand why we're doing it now. Being able to just have a safe place for veterans and first responders and people suffering with mental health to come out and not be judged, not be looked at different, not be, not be condemned for your past, and just be there for one another. I think that's the biggest thing is that camaraderie. A lot of times where, why are we doing X, Y, and Z? So I'm part of the Fontana Rotary Club, and I have a friend in there, and we were driving to Arizona one day, Bisbee, Arizona. It was like 4 of us, and as we're talking, he started talking about like their pancake breakfast they would do back in the day and stuff when he was young and started in the club. He was like, hey, why do we always do this? Like wrapping napkins or something like that, wrapping the silverware around the napkins. And one of the gentlemen had told him, it's not about what we're doing at the moment, it's about the fellowship that we're having. And that totally resonated with me. Really, many times, when we're doing just all the crazy chaos throughout the day, but listen to the conversations that people have during that time. That's really where it makes a difference. Being there to listen to one another, being there for somebody. We have a lot of veterans, and you were one of them. You just said it, where you didn't really open up too much at the beginning, but you started to feel more comfortable and to the point where you did, and that's where we really want everybody to understand that. We're not going to pry information out of you. We're not going to force you to do things. It's like, hey, if you're comfortable doing it, I always tell people, you get as much out of this organization as you put into it.
It's the same with tattooing, man. You're only going to get out of it what you put into it.
Yep.
You got hustlers watching. I think it's a blessing to be able to provide a positive resource and make a living at what it is that you're doing. A lot of people make a living off of trying to pinch people's pockets and get over and this, that, and the other, but you're truly providing a positive resource in that. I commend you for that. And I wish you success in your future endeavors, man. Really, hearing you speak about it's opened my eyes to the service dog world a lot more, just because if you're not a part of it, it's something that you really don't know about.
Absolutely.
And, as from B to Z, we definitely want to provide you guys with resources that we have tapped into. Zach goes to this gentleman, and that's picking people specifically and trying to provide resources for you guys for mental health, and this is one of them. So if you're listening, this is one of those things where it's, hey man, what are you going to do with it? We could give it to you, but now what you going to do with it? If you guys want a resource for PTSD or mental health that is, I would say, unorthodox, because it's not something that people think of immediately, but now think about that, seek this man out, and he can offer you a way to redemption or just a better path, around pills, around the conservative way, and like, man, it's cool. Like you get a dog at the end of it. How you complaining about that? You know what I'm saying? Can somebody seek you out if they don't have a dog? Can they come work with you if they don't have a dog?
Oh, absolutely. We have pack walks where we have people come out, and I've had veterans come out to those pack walks at first, before they even started the program, before they even applied, just to kind of see how it is and stuff. But yeah, we have events. How we mentioned our May 11th, our suicide prevention walk. Every August we do. It's called the Sound Mind. That's with the organization we partner with, Frontside Military Outreach, and that's a mental health resource fair we do in the city of Fontana as well. And then we do a 9/11 Memorial Bike Ride. So that's something where, if you guys are interested in learning more about the organizations, you can definitely come out to those events. If you need resources, especially at a Sound Mind and at our suicide prevention walk, we're gonna, we really focus on boots on the ground organizations that we invite to come out. Organizations that are actually doing the good in our communities. Not just the stuff the people you see on TV or hear on the radio. But the actual boots on the ground people that are doing the door knocking in our community. So if you guys need help, if you need resources, if you want to come out and learn more, I urge you guys to come out.
I appreciate you. I really, 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 from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate you coming on.
Definitely. Thank you
I love
so
you, man.
much.
I really do.
Appreciate you.
You've been a big, pleasant change in my life, as well as my dog Koa now. So that's www.workingdogsforwarriors.com. Their social media handles are at Working Dogs for Warriors, and that's it, man. I just can't express. We really liked having you on.
Before we wrap it up, I did bring you guys 2 of our challenge coins.
Oh,
So
this is a big deal.
Yeah.
Hey, so in the military world, I'll express what I know now.
Yeah.
This is a real big deal in the military world. If you get a coin, a challenge coin, it's usually from a leader or a organization, and you're expected to carry this on you at all times. And the running joke was, or the process was, if you were if you were somewhere and you didn't have your coin on you, you get coin checked.
Okay.
Like, almost like those old school, like, the old school rules, the gentleman rules. Where's your coin at?
Yeah.
And then if you don't, you owe that guy something. You owe him a drink. You owe him dinner that day. If you don't have your coin on you. So this is a big. This is all. I didn't even know you had these.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are
Yeah.
I don't pass them out too often, so I was happy to bring them here.
Thank you so much, man. Well, guys, our first guest. You guys wanted us to bring guests on. Here's number 1. And we brought in the clips too. So there you go, guys.
Yeah, give us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you, and please check out Working Dogs for Warriors and Mike. Have a great day.
Thank you guys. Appreciate being on.